In 2019, I made a video about one of the most infamous details in the history of Eddsworld animation. Tom's dad was a pineapple in one episode, and a watermelon in another. Even after making that video, I could never understand why, but now I am ready to tackle that question one last time. For those just joining us, the video in question was released on August 13th, 2019, and though it's not perfect, it was one of the first videos that I made that I'm still a little bit proud of. If you haven't seen it, then don't worry, I'll make sure that you can follow along. In that video, I discussed the mystery of Tom's parents, which is as follows. In the 2008 episode, 25 Feet Under the Seat, we see that from birth, Tom was the son of a bowling ball and a watermelon, with the watermelon supposedly being his father. Let's call him Walter. Walter the watermelon. However, in the 2014 episode, Funded, we see a slightly older version of Tom with his father, but this time, his dad is shown to be a pineapple instead. Let's call him Pete the pineapple. If you believe what the internet has to say, Tom's dad was originally meant to be a pineapple in the Atlantis episode, but Ed Gould didn't know how to draw one. However, I was never able to find a reliable first-hand source that confirmed this. Only one sentence on the fan-edited Wiki and a few YouTube comments. It seemed like one of those myths that the internet just made up. And that is all we know so far. However, since I made that video, several things have come up that I really wanted to address in video form. But before we do that, I wanted to remind you that this whole thing is just for fun and you should not take anything seriously. Nothing really matters in the end. Though I couldn't find the genesis of the story that Ed couldn't draw a pineapple, I blamed the myth's origin back to the unofficial Eddsworld Wiki, where you can find a page that's held this claim ever since 2016. You might remember that I messaged the guy who originally made this edit, who was not Ed, come on guys, but I hadn't got a response from them. Well, I'm happy to say that they got back to me. I had left a comment through the wiki on their message wall asking them about the edit they'd made to Tom's page, and if they had a primary source for that information. Just 1 month and 12 days after I uploaded my video, they replied to the message with this. Incredibly late reply, but I was messaged about this on Discord and have already given a response. Right, so let's unpack what we're reading here. Firstly, I'm guessing that after I made my video, someone managed to track down this person on Discord and ask them there, because it's such a niche topic that I couldn't imagine it happening any other way. Not gonna lie, that is a bit creepy. This person clearly didn't want to be bothered by some stupid question related to internet animation, and message them like that just seems like a bit of an invasion. But at the same time, I don't know if words can express the frustration I felt upon reading this. So I was feeling a little bit defeated, but I messaged them back anyway when I started making this video last August. I wasn't really expecting a reply at all, but they got back to me just 11 days later. I wasn't sure of the original source, and it's been such a long time, I wouldn't be able to remember. I apologise. So yeah, as with most things in life, the wiki is not where this research ends. But to the person who made the edit, thank you. Your responses have been incredibly useful for this video, and I genuinely appreciate your involvement in this dumb internet mystery. And if it weren't for that initial edit, I would not have had so much fun making these two videos. Now I think it's time to address everybody else, because ever since I uploaded that video about Tom's parents, I've had comments from countless people offering up their solutions to the problem. And most of them boil down to two distinct theories. The reason they are drawn differently might be because one of these characters is not actually Tom's father. Either one of them could be an uncle, or a brother, or a grandfather, or a doctor, or whatever. This is something I already addressed in the video, and honestly, I don't know if it holds much water. When I see this image, I see a mother and a father on the most important day of their life when they realise that their firstborn son was born without any eyeballs. You could say in retrospect that these may not be Tom's parents, but when I look at this image on its own, I see nothing else. More importantly than that, the joke here is that Tom's immediate family is a piece of fruit and some sporting equipment. I feel like extending the joke beyond his mum, dad and prom date ruins the joke a little. Call me crazy, but I am still 100% sure that when this episode came out, this was supposed to be their parents. And as for Pete, well, we know his relation to Tom explicitly.
Father! I will avenge you!
So whilst yes, it is possible that Walter could have some other relation to Tom, I'm definitely not convinced. If this were the only time we ever saw him, there would be no question about it. Only after Funded did people second guess themselves about this scene. This is his father, and this is his father. But just because they are both his father, does not necessarily mean they are the same father. And I am just dying to talk about this. Tom's birth parent was Walter, but his mother later got married to Pete. The exact specifics of this second marriage vary from person to person and theory to theory, but for a time this was the most frequent comment I'd ever received on my entire channel. So many people chose to believe that this pineapple was Tom's stepdad. I had someone suggesting this to me every single day after I uploaded that video. Every single day. And I hate this answer. It resolves the problem in the most boring way possible, if you ask me. It technically explains why these characters are drawn differently, but in such an incredibly unsatisfying way that you effectively throw away the question, along with everything interesting about it. And what makes it so unsatisfying to me is that it's impossible to disprove. Unless we see a flashback of Tom attending his parents' second wedding, there is no way to prove or disprove this theory correct. It's also barely supported by the text. Take the theory about Tord being a clone, which I feel I reference in every other video at this point. That theory can be supported by the text. We know that there are violent reject clones, we're shown that they don't all die at the end of Spares, and Tord's characterization in the end is so different to what we're familiar with that it's not a complete stretch to say that, in the world that's been established, Red Leader is Tord's evil clone. Now obviously I don't think that's what the team had in mind when putting the episode together, but it's fun to think about, and more importantly, it gives you a new perspective when watching through the episodes. Something that the best theories manage to achieve. Okay, for real though, if you choose to believe this theory, that is okay, 100% fine with that. For most people, a different character model would be evidence enough. Last time I made an Eddsworld video, I mentioned a theory that was indisputably false. There was no way you could justify it within the narrative. But I mentioned it anyway because I thought it was fun and interesting. And judging by some of these comments, people have a lot of fun coming up with stories about minor Eddsworld characters. Maybe I'm just annoyed because I couldn't be bothered to mention it in my original script and so many people mentioned it to me constantly. But I can put it behind me. Commenters will be commenters. From this point on, I am going to assume that Walter and Pete are the exact same character. No mystery relatives, no remarriages, no alternate universes, nothing like that. Both of these characters are depictions of a biological fruit father who was there to witness Tom's birth and was killed by a bear with a shotgun. What even was that sentence? You may believe something different for any number of reasons, but this is how I'm going to tackle this question going forward.
Hey, how you doing? Well, I'm doing just fine. I lied, I'm dying inside.
Both the fruits are wearing glasses. Fruit does not need glasses. Tom's dad is the glasses. Okay, that's about all I had to say on the matter. I just thought it was funny. So, what more else is there to know? These might be different characters, but we can't be sure until we see evidence of that within the text. Well, for one, we do see Tom's mum in a couple of other places. Obviously, there's the blue bowling ball on Ed's shelf in the end, which may or may not be her, but we may have seen her twice in her debut episode. In one of Tom's memory bubbles, we see a small blue circle in the corner. Same colour, same general shape. It's not a stretch to say that this is the bowling ball, watching over her son. However, Walter is nowhere to be seen anywhere. We also see him changing outfits between panels, going from blue to yellow and back to blue. And in both Funded and Power Ed, he was wearing a yellow outfit with denim dungarees. Is it a coincidence that he is wearing pineapple colours? Maybe Walter the Watermelon really did disappear at some point in Tom's childhood, with the pineapple coming along afterwards. It's not out of the question. I had a look through some of the official comics, and in comic number 244, Tom is wearing a bib with a red pineapple on it. Could this be a reference to his heritage? There's also a small bunch of comics from 169 to 173, where Tom uses a bowling ball as a decoy. Another joke about his character design. The only other bowling ball that I found was the one in Matt's room in Hammer and Fail, and it's the same colour as Tom's mum. What is going on here? Isn't it strange that in this universe, some bowling balls are apparently sentient whilst others are mere objects to be kept on the shelf? Why is it that some fruit is alive, yet other fruit is sold in Tesco? Except, how do we know that they are really alive? We've only ever seen Tom's parents in his own memories. Could it be possible that his parents never looked like this at all? These are just constructions of his imagination, created to help him deal with the traumatic moments of death and rejection. His prom date was a coconut because, in his memories, it helps him deal with the tragic breakup that followed. This is how he remembers his father's death, because replacing that memory with a bursting fruit is the only thing that will keep him sane. Wow, that got really dark. So yeah, the evidence in the show is the same. It still makes basically 0 sense. And yeah, that kinda sucks. I shouldn't have expected more from a show like this. But even if the show doesn't make any sense, that doesn't mean there isn't still an answer out there. This character is a watermelon. This character is a pineapple. I do not care about family trees, character psychology, anything like that. I just want to know why. Why did they change it? Why are the designs so similar yet so different? Was it just because Ed didn't know how to draw something? Even after a year of my video being public, no one has actually directed me to a primary source of information that proves that Ed Gould did not know how to draw a pineapple. Nobody sent me a link to a page that said any different. Hundreds of people taking a shot at working out the family tree, but not one sharing evidence as to why. I'll be real here, I wrote everything in this script up until this point last August, having absolutely no idea how it was going to end. After finishing that section, I went on a hunt that legitimately lasted days. I was going through internet archives, every social media account I could find, just to see if there was anything that could help me with this video. There was a commenter called Jalen TC that told me that Tom Scar explained the animation error on Tumblr, but that he deleted his account in 2014, causing that post to be lost forever. This seems like a really plausible explanation to me. I tried using the Wayback Machine, but as amazing as that service is, it just didn't have enough of the old Tumblr page that the evidence was made available. I so wanted to find an answer, but I had written myself into a corner. At this stage, I think I'm finally happy to let it go. If you take a step back from all of this, like really take a step back and look how far I've gone with this question. It's all just really stupid. As much as I wish I could be the guy who would book a flight to Japan in search of answers, there is no glamour in picking out continuity errors. There's nothing fun about wasting people's time with pointless questions about internet cartoons. Nobody likes that guy. I made the cardinal sin of forgetting the final line of the video that's haunted me so. Who actually cares? Apparently a lot of people. I've had more comments on that video than almost any other, and I really do appreciate every single one. If you've ever made a comment on any of my videos, I genuinely can't thank you enough for your contribution. I still try and read as many as possible, and it is great to see the same faces popping up time and time again, and it makes me happy that so many people do care about this mystery. But as of today, I am not one of those people. I just do not care anymore.